Yeah, and I hope that this little video series will be a form of motivation for me to like be persistent and consistent and like stick to this. I'm human. This may fail. This may not. I just want to give it an actual try. But yeah, that's me. So where this can like come out the smoothest.
Yeah.
So if once I get to the reason why this is down is because it fell off and I decided to use the $7 shoe holder thing to hold up the shit.
Resourceful.
There you go. It's called having Caribbean parents. So like right now, as I'm like designing new pieces, the books that I'm referring to is this cool military book that's just showing like that shows different depictions of military stuff, but more just for like specific military jackets. Even though I'm not like referencing direct, it's just nice to have. And I'm like sketching. It's just a photo series of styling of a bunch of Tumblr kids doing Tumblr things. I don't like ideas be popping in the space. I just like it because it's like grounds me to be like, yo, at the end of the day, even though it's a headache, my challenge is designing for people right now. So it was fun finding this book. I go to it a lot. Yeah, it was definitely a sweaty party with a lot of vapes in the goddamn air. My mom used to run a daycare. She had this fat ass roll that I've been slowly using because this is fire for pattern making. Get a giant roll for parchment paper, and like this shit is like $20 for like a fat ass roll. And if you make clothes, you're gonna be like, and you work in a small space, and you see this, you're gonna be like, yo, I need this. I released a pair of shorts. Oh yeah, a few months ago, I released a pair of pants called dome trousers. And I am making a new iteration of basically shorts. These are how they look. They're really fun. But essentially, I know that I'm producing a collection. My goals is to refine the pieces that I have currently at this moment, as well as work towards designing more and more pieces that are outside of my comfort zone. So I just had two friends come over, and my friend Kaylin. Well, three friends. I have my friend Kaylin, Mark, and Reese come up and try the shorts. And they're all three completely different body types. So that is clearly why I wanted to try Kaylin, who you're seeing right now, is relatively shorter, has a slimmer build, and you can see that these shorts are billowing in consumer now. And then for Reese, he has a significantly bigger build. He's much taller, so much wider, and it looks like two completely different pants. And now that I can see my garments on two different bodies, it makes it easier to make next decisions for the next pant. I'm literally doing this because I knew I'm recording a video, and I don't be doing this. You need to sew with something on your feet. Like, if you watch a shit ton of YouTube videos, and you get like consumed by that world, you're going to have a bunch of old white ladies tell you like, yo, you need to wear shoes or have sewing shoes for the studio. So boom, if you're outside and you buy a lighter because you got a pre-roll in your pocket, or you got a J for outside, or you just needed a lighter, and you make the habit of buying a lighter every time you forget a lighter, and then you go home and you realize by the end of the week you got 10 lighters, you're gonna feel like poop, as well as because you just bought like 10 lighters, and that's $10 gone that you're not thinking about. Imagine that, but with like 7 to 8 things. So like losing seam rippers, knives, things, pencils, like certain things, like it adds up, and it was annoying because like every time I end up having to go back to the garment district, I gotta pick up another little thing. Little lessons is like hearing, yo, we don't have time to do muslins. We don't have time to do final samples, and that being like communicated to me like immediately, practically. I didn't have no warning to that, and like having to react on the fly is kind of crazy. But like, ask yourself, like, how the hell am I like 23 and doing sample making work? Like, and I'm talking to other homies who are fashion designers who are doing this stuff, and that's a common thing. I just wanted to do that. Like slowly that decided to make because it's fun. It reminds me of like a blanket that
Yes. It looks comfy.
Yeah, it's mad cozy. It's literally so cozy. And then, here's like a muslin. I barely do muslins anymore. But this was like, let me try to do a muslin for these shorts so I can get the shape that I want. And low-key, I'm going to go back to doing muslins. It saves more time even though don't feel like it, because if you are new at pattern making / you're still developing your skills / you want to figure out things, muslins are really good ways to like cheaply test out ideas without having to invest into fabric. Something that I've learned in like creating garments like from scratch and self-taught stuff is that you low-key want to but if you're making a piece and you actively want to learn how to make it well, you should make your first muslin, you should make a few samples out of the final fabric that you're producing. What I'll be saying is that you have your scissors on a string so you can have it on your neck, so that when you cut, you can, or like thread a machine, you can snip it, let go, and it's gone, so that you don't have to think about your scissors and if you lose your scissors a lot, like I do, this is like the way to do it. And then I found myself inside of a school, like a elementary school, don't ask why, but I found these scissors that low-key are terrifyingly imperfect for pattern making, because it's very hard to cut yourself when you're late night sewing. I'm setting up this machine as of right now, and then I'm getting ready to sew and press this. Hemming is the last step of making a garment if I don't go and get hardware put in. First thing you need to do, put your pants inside out. Give it a little tap. The hems is not going to be perfect, so like I'm off by a little bit here. So when you're making your pattern, you take your ruler, go by the shortest edge, match it to the side seam, and just draw a quick straight line. Go like that. And then, another fun thing, if you don't have fabric scissors / you don't want to buy fabric scissors or a charmer, you can use kitchen scissors straight from the dollar store. It be working. If you raw cut your pants, this is how you should do it. Like, after you've made that straight line, you're gonna take your pant. Well, this is what I be doing. You fold that shit in half, match it up to the corners, go into fold it, flip it down, make sure like it's matching. Well, gabardine in general is notorious of being a super fine knit fabric. Is tremendously dense, and I guess a little because it's a tight grip, even though it's super soft, it's slightly water resistant because it's super fine. That's why it's like able to drip down like that. It's funny, like I made these pants because I was working a bullshit job and I needed a pair of pants that I would like to wear that fit the dress code, and this did. Consistent practices, I will say, is cleaning, and I'm not a good cleaner. You have to clean every time you have a project, before and after. It needs to be a consistent practice, and like that's something that low-key is more grounding than anything. This be the shit that I be watching on YouTube videos. I'm like low-key like geeking that I get to like shot as I'm doing this shit. So I'm like really excited. A home machine is the size of this guy, estimates I'm guessing, where the motor, which is the active thing that makes the sewing machine move, is about a third of the size of this guy, right? You look at this machine, the motor is nowhere near this. It's underneath the table. It's right here. Like, this is the most I would sew on, like, layers on this machine in a certain seam. Oh, let me see. Let me test it. No, this is the most I would comfortably sew on, like, most layers. Do I on the machine. And I need to get this machine serviced, that's why it's making funny noises. But you can't do that on a home machine. I'm hemming these pants. I'm starting in the inseam. I put my needle down. I'm using an 1/8 size foot. I'm sewing on the inside because that's the quickest way of doing it. It's pressed already, so it's like it just wants to sit in where you want to do it. And I press this to 3/4. That's 3/4 right there on the machine. So yeah, that's how I'm doing the hem, taking the time, adjust as I go if I really want it to be clean without having to be on here forever, just adjust as you go. Boom. Yeah, if you did this right, then it should be clean on the inside and out. I mentioned prior how like your tension, your fabric will affect how you hem. For sewing nerds, you can adjust the tension on your bobbin as well as on the top, your bottom thread and your top thread because it's a front loading bobbin. But yeah, these are the shorts. I did make like little adjustments in between, which I'm really like happy about. I took a lot out. I took a more out of the crotch so it sits flatter. I usually make my garments like size 30, like a true size 30, which is me. Luckily, I guess for clothes. And yeah.
Do like a full spin.
Do a full spin?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about key details as for this first iteration of shorts. I changed the fit from my original dome dress to be more flared. It's still a wide fit, but there's that. It has the same inseam shooter pockets, but it includes a flap for 2 reasons that people complain about shit falling out of their pockets. And to compare with that, I made the pockets significantly bigger and added flap. So if you decide to put something inside, as I accept that I don't have any weird messages, and then yeah, put that right in, flap in, and it's just interesting. And then I still need to put in hardware. And I guess my favorite thing is just the back. I did change up the back poorly. I wish I had like a production pair, but I don't. But I used 6 belt loops in the first one. I opted to do 7 traditional placements, 3 belt loops, traditional spots, and this little tag here. Essentially, like a very important thing within my practice is having like small nods to just childcare. Just when you think of being a child, what are the physical objects that's in it? And for me, it's a backpack. It is whatever you find in a daycare, and it is like little nods like that. When I think about a backpack, I think about best way of describing it is like, for me, nostalgically, I think about the daycare that I remember the period of my time when my parents turned our living room into a daycare, and that was pretty much my home was going into my parents' working space, and it was just the fact as a child we would go in and like put our jackets up every time when we go in, whether it be our stuff, like that was the end of the day of where's my jacket, who took my jacket, do I still have my jacket, and like little nods like that, and backpacks, because like most kid who grew up in school. Yeah, like I'm happy about this. It's little changes of stuff I'm already doing, it's still allowing me to do things that are new for me. And if I have the goals of producing a collection within the capacity I have of right now working as a just freelance artist, as till I find like sustainable work. Good news, gotta leave for a job.
Hey.
Gang. And yeah, just really there's that. I'm making clothes. I'm slowly making a collection and figuring that shit out.
And period.